ProTempus macros allow you to create a series of tasks and events, to be created based on a given start date. The start date can be a trial, where you have a series of deadlines leading up to the trial, or it can be an accident date, where there are a series of deadlines that must be met following an accident date. To create a macro, you must first create a macro library. Click on the Contacts button. Type LIB in the last name field. You can see we already have a Forms library defined. We want to create a contact record for the macro library, so complete the name library-macros. Next, click onto the ID field and type macros. It is the ID field that identifies this contact record as the macro library. Now click on the case. Each new case you create under this contact ID is a macro that can have a series of events and tasks associated with the macro. We will create a case called trial. If you practice in different courts, you may want to create a macro for each court reflecting the court rules for each. You are limited to 15 characters, so you may need to abbreviate. Save the case. Once the case or macro name has been created, we are ready to create the needed tasks and events for this macro. You can select any date as the starting point of the macro. Let us assume we have a trial scheduled for October 20th. We will create the event for the trial. Working backwards, we will schedule all of the events and tasks that need to be scheduled leading up to the trial. We can click on New Event or New Task from the current window to create the next deadline. Then change the date and the description for the new deadline. For the sake of this training video, we will just use generic description: 5 days until trial, 10 days until trial. Your descriptions should be more specific, describing the tasks required, such as witness list due or schedule meeting with client to prepare for trial. Once all the deadlines for the trial have been created, we click on Save to save the last event or task. If your practice includes personal injury cases, you can create a macro, starting with an accident date, and set up the deadlines of any filings and actions required after the accident. We will create a macro called Accident. Again, we will create a series of generic tasks: 30 days after accident, 6 months after accident, etc. You can create as many macros as needed. Each macro can contain as many tasks and events as needed. The next video will demonstrate how to use these macros in scheduling an actual case in ProTempus.